Hi, it's Gooey Nihilist and welcome to the video. I think every art is political. At least the powerful art is political and it have some kind of extreme emotion. Every art is harnessed with some kind of propaganda that could be instilled in the artist when he, she, or they were a child, or their personal life experiences and whatnot. It doesn't have to be focused on one or the other thing. It just have to be simply speaking just one thing that they have felt and that has come across. So for today, Last of Us have a lot of Zionism allegations, and Dhurandhar, which is an Indian film that made um, waves across the globe, is privy of nihilism. Nationalism. My bad. So, nationalism, Zionism, we'll come across both the entities. I love both of them. I love Dhurandhar and I love Last of Us 1 and 2, the games I'm talking about. God forbid if you are a TV show watcher of Last of Us, just don't watch that nonsense. Anyways, I'm gonna continue. Um, so let's start with Last of Us. I think Last of Us Zionism allegations come from its creator Neil Druckmann, and I feel like him being a Jewish and his ideologies and whatever you can say that the word zombies um, and its real meaning and the things that are happening across Israel and all of those things, it kind of may make someone like go like, interesting. That's a little sus. I don't think so, because when you are creating an art, you need an immense potential. You need an immense emotion. You are playing a game that needs to make you emotional, that needs to make you feel something, so that it just doesn't feel like, oh, it's just a game, right? If you want to play just a game, then there are a lot of options. However, Last of Us is a journey. The part one of Last of Us, it takes Joel and Ellie from being two shattered characters to become almost like a pseudo father daughter relationship, and then Last of Us 2, where that whole dream gets shattered when Ellie is standing on her own terms and Joel gets killed by Abby, and that is obviously effed up. But I feel that is important because Ellie is the main character, main protagonist, and a hero's journey. And she is also the savior of the whole universe because she's immune to the virus, right? I believe the journey of Joel dying is actually a masterstroke. However, how he dies through Abby, yeah, it's ridiculous. They could have made it better. However, the game and its ideology on cycle of violence is very classy, because cycle of violence is something that one needs to understand. It's real. Cycle of revenge, I mean. And revenge is something that doesn't stop, and it's also like you want to stop it because you are the good person, but then again the circumstance, the anger, the issues, it's a very big, it's a very big thing. um, I don't think so. The game is Zionistic at all. I also don't think so. Neil Druckmann himself is a Zionist. I know he has made the game overtly woke and sort of like the game is sort of, Neil Druckmann is saying, oh, he is the game god or whatever. No, he's not, because he's not like Kojima, who's almost an author like figure, right? Naughty Dog has always been good. The people that work in Naughty Dogs are immensely talented and hardworking people. Their work you can see in Crash Bandicoot games and Uncharted games and even Last of Us 1 and 2. They are phenomenal. And I feel like one person dictating Naughty Dog's terms and ideology is a bit bizarre, because the game they create good are only when there is like a unity. So I feel like that component of like one author kind of person, I don't think so that works with Last of Us at all. I feel Last of Us 2 is a good story. At the end of the day, it is a good story. Ellie was always the main character, and I think so. The shock value they do is obviously a very cheap device, but I don't think so. There is anything Zionistic about it. A lot of people think that the whole thing of killing people and proving your point and everything is very reminiscent to there's an issue going on in Israel Palestine which is extremely effed up. But then again, that is not the game in my opinion. The game is very clearly Ellie's journey from becoming, she's a volatile girl, she's a dynamite, she always is ready to fight, kill, and avenge his loved ones, her loved ones. However, the game uh, retrospectively tells you that that is a wrong choice that Ellie makes, and then she sort of corrects it, but it might be too late to, so that's a masterstroke. And I think so every art should be powerful emotions in art makes it well worth of someone's time. If you make something that is very plain, great, you have made slop that everyone can make. So that's Last of Us. If you don't want to hear about Dhurandhar, you can just skip the video. Nice to meet you. Now we will talk about nationalism. So Dhurandhar is obviously based on some real life events with little bit of masala, with little bit of like added fiction. However, the problem with the film that a lot of people said that it's propaganda. Every CIA movie is a propaganda, from your Jason Bond to James Bond to Mission Impossible to everything. Everyone shows their country it's the best, and they are so patriotic. And I think so Dhurandhar is not a nationalist movie; it's a patriotic movie, and there is a fine line between them. What MAGA and Trump are doing, that is hyper nationalism. That is something that is wrong. However, when you see the same thing when it's a patriotism, when there is a patriotic something going on, that's right. And Aditya Dhar is someone that is very potent as a filmmaker. He obviously have a chapter wise premise with all of his work that gives him edge over the other filmmakers. In India, there are so much talent, but everyone wants to flex their talent as if they are in this poverty driven algorithm that, oh, I want to show my cinema, so I'll put something. And that's why Indian cinema is not appreciated well enough, and that's why Ritvik Ghatak and Satyajit Ray were so amazing, because sometimes less is more. In India, we want to show everyone that we can do everything, and that is not only the case with films, that is the case with the corporate world, banking world, finance world, which is the same thing. Everyone have their own thing to prove an agenda. That's why it tends to be very annoying when you are developing a story and everyone is giving you advice on like, why don't you do that, and changing the exoskeleton of your story, which if for a creative person to hear that is a very demeaning thing. So that's that. But Dhar and his Dhurandhar ideology is actually quite good, because at the end of the day, killing terrorists who come to your home and destroy everything, and you give them like, oh, maybe we should have an MUN debate so that we can solve this issue. Nah, it should not be like that. Things needs to things need to have a powerful repercussion, and when you are making films like that, you need to be very very potent with it. You can't make something that is very spy pseudo. You need to be raw. The spy genre in India is quite screwed, because yeah, people don't know that genre pretty well. They just experiment 3-4 Hollywood movies, and they think that they are creating something amazing. Um, so that's that. So nationalism and Zionism, I think so both the ideologies in this context are wrong, because we have our own unconceived notions about someone, and we want to see the world in their light. And when people, nowadays narratives can be bought if you have a lot of money and press power, and then when you make those narratives, you can literally circulate them through meta analytics and all of that things, and then you can create an ecosystem where you are giving people knowledge which only is covering one part of the story, so the other part is in a deficient, so that people won't understand the other part whatsoever, and then it's a net profit to the agency or the person who want to propagate that. The thing is, create art with dynamism, create art with full of ideologies, create art with full of propaganda, create art with full of anger, full of happiness, full of love. It should be extreme though. Create art when you are extremely passionate. I think that then only you will create something that's a stroke of genius. And yeah, that's the video for today. Signing off, Gui Nihilist, and comment something that you want to see. Also, you can comment something along the lines of will you agree with me or will you disagree with me. I'm very open to those kind of discussions because I love that. Peace.